When I was about 14 or 15, YFC held a community event. There was just a preacher and a worship team, and that was the night that God decided to grip my heart and really use that night to warm my heart to Him, and where I accepted Christ. The same YFC worker that was putting on that event years before, when I gave my heart to Christ, years later is heavily involved in my life now. He's taken under his wing me and a couple of guys, and we've walked through a lot of just the real issues that we face. Through this mentorship program, he has helped us to really grow our faith into really being authentic and being out there in the world. If I didn't have the mentor that I do have through YFC, it's really hard to say where I would be. If there's one thing I could say to you, my own Youth for Christ worker, it would be thank you so much for modeling what it is to live a Christ-like life. Thank you so much for modeling what it is to love your family and to love the people around you, because it has spoken volumes to my own life, and it leaves me wanting to do the same.
Am I on? There we go. Awesome. So, God, church, and the family is the topic. We can get the volume down a little bit. The topic for today, and we just watched a Youth for Christ video on a youth somewhere in Canada who is thanking his youth worker for letting him know what family looks like. And family is so hard to define, especially in today's culture. Who qualifies to be counted as family? And I really, really enjoyed the scripture that was shared this morning about the sheep. To know if you're lost, someone's coming to look for you. That's family. Someone is coming to look for you. So I have a few questions just to throw out there for you guys, because, like I said, it's hard to define exactly what is family. So I have two questions here. What does being family look like, and what does it feel like? So just if you have an answer, just shout it out. Love? Safe? Belonging and support? Understanding? Appreciation? Accountability? Does anyone have a bulletin on you? If you look in the back of your bulletin, this is really needed. I didn't even plan this. But the open door says they exist on the very back of the bulletin to provide a community where adults, youth, and kids can experience, and the very first thing is family, a safe place where all can enjoy authentic relationships within the church family, unconditional love and acceptance. Like, that's wired into us here right off the bat on being family. So, we might not be able to define exactly what a family looks like, but we all know what family feels like or what it doesn't feel like. I remember as a youth going to church and going to youth group, and I remember it was a Sunday afternoon. I go to someone's house, and they weren't Joan, because they did not let me in. I knocked on their door. It was a Sunday afternoon, and they opened the door, and I'm, hey, it's Jack, I'm here. And they kind of paused and said, Sunday afternoon is reserved for family, and they closed the door. Well, everyone has the right to their own space, but guaranteed in that moment, I knew I was not family. That's kind of a hard story to start off with. And so, but it works into my next story. To counteract that, I want to talk about my mom. I have a good mom. My mom always has stuff. She just does. Now, often for my birthday, as of late, I get my birthday present 9 months too late. But, she always has stuff. And I remember growing up, we had an open door policy. We didn't necessarily invite people over, but people just showed up. And often on an occasion, like Christmas. So Christmas, if there's any time that is just for your family, it must be that time, right? You're going to open the presents. So who shows up at someone else's house while they're opening their Christmas presents? Like, that just seems odd, but it happened to us all the time. People would show up, and it's Christmas morning or whatever, the day we're going to open our gifts, and they would show up, and we would invite them in, and my mom would scramble through the house and look for anything that was maybe new that she got on sale that she was saving for a gift for the next time she got invited to something, a new sweater that hasn't been used yet. Or maybe there's a gently used item like a tool or whatever, depending if it's a male or female. But she would scrounge the house, quickly wrap it up, sneak it under the Christmas tree. And lo and behold, how did we know we were having these guests come over for Christmas? Because we have gifts for them. Granted, they weren't always the best gift. They weren't a gift that said, I know who you are. But there was a gift for everyone. And so I have a helper today who is going to help me distribute some gifts. Aha, perfect. So I have 4 gifts. Don't ask me what's in them. Well, you could ask me, but I'm not going to tell you. But randomly, there's 4 people who are going to receive a gift today. And if anything, you can know that you're welcome here and you're part of the family. There is a gift for you. So I have no idea who's going to get what and who's going to get something, but it's just random. Yes? You are family. You're like the 99 sheep that got left behind, but you knew that you could be comfortable that way. Actually, Gavin, I know I wasn't here last Sunday. I heard all about the razzing that I was getting. But, just about that, family, they know you, right? My love language is bugging. If you pick on me, I know you like me. Like, it's like, in school when you're like a preteen and the guy pulls the girl's hair, that means he likes him. You pulled my hair too many times, but I know you like me. And so I know Gavin likes me. I'm his family because he took time to signal me out even when I'm not here. So, but there's things that happen to you that people do that you are family. So there's things that you'll remember. Like I said, I knew when I did not feel like family, and I knew when I felt like family. A few people that I would mention, my last youth pastor as a youth, the only one I liked, so who knows why I got into youth ministry, but the only one I liked, his name was PD, or actually his name was Derek Lehman, but his name was, we would call him Pastor Derek or PD. And I remember a lady in the church giving me a lecture on how it's disrespectful, that is Pastor Lehman. And I turned to her and I said, well, my dad says when you like someone, you have a nickname for them, and it's a term of endearment. So PD meant we actually like him. If I called him Pastor Lehman, that actually meant I don't like him. So don't call me pastor. He would take me out. I don't remember one thing that he preached. What I do remember, I remember him taking me out for Coke. I remember him taking me out to play pool. I remember him inviting me to his house with his family just to be there. No movie night planned or anything. It was just, hey, you can come hang out at my house with my family if you want. I remember those things. Randy and Lisa Froome. Randy and Lisa ran the Youth for Christ Drop-In Center before me. And I was a volunteer there, and actually when Esther and I were dating, we both volunteered there. And when Randy and Lisa moved to BC, it broke our hearts. And we actually wanted to leave here and follow them, because they're family, they can't leave. And so we wanted to follow them. God let us know that they're not our only family, and we didn't have to follow them. Actually, he wanted us to stay here. But they were so near and dear to us, it just crushed us that they were leaving. And so it's nice that they come and visit, and we have some competitions between where they spend the night when they come out to visit. Are they going to stay at Gavin and Jones? Well, we quickly got a nicer bed, so they would stay at our house. I had a coworker. His name is Brian Stewart. When I was 16, my first job outside of working for my dad in a lumberyard. I think Brian would have probably been his late 30s at the time. And so he saw me as, here's some kid that he has to babysit at work. Didn't know that I actually was a good worker, and but he got to know that. And I remember he was foul-mouthed, and I never said anything. And the one time he all of a sudden stops and he goes, "Do I offend you when I swear?" And I honestly looked at him and I said, "No, that's between you and God." And I wasn't thinking of preaching to him or anything like that. It's between you and God. Like, I have nothing to do with it. And it's funny, when I was finished my summer of working with him, and he would swear about anything. And at the end of that summer, I remember the one time when he hit his head on this board that was sticking out. And normally he would either start cussing and swearing, or at least partway through the summer, he got to the point where he would send me to the other end of the yard so he could, "Jack, you'll want to go work on that pile of lumber over there." And I remember him like, "Oh," and he looks at me and he didn't swear, which was phenomenal. My influence, I guess, of just being around him, being a good worker. But I remember, as much as I liked my job, I ended up losing that job. I ended up quitting. I had a disagreement with my boss, and I quit. And my boss said, "Well, then I'm not paying you your last 2 weeks." Fair enough, whatever. And I leave. And as I'm leaving, my coworker chases me out the door, and he knows the whole situation. And he says, "Hey, here's my debit card. Here's the 4-digit code. Go get out whatever you need to, get you by for the next few weeks or whatever, and just pay me back whenever." Who does that? Like, you give your debit card with the code and say, "Take what you need." He didn't say take out $100 or $20 or say, "I'll meet you after work to get the money for you." He handed it to me, and he gave me a license to take what I need. He ended up also speaking at our wedding. Just love the guy. That's family. Oh, and my jersey. You're probably wondering, I'm not wearing traditional preaching garb. This is a paintball jersey. It says Morris YFC. My favorite number, 15. My favorite color, green. Just in case you didn't know my last name, Weeb. I got this gift. A former drop-in youth showed up at my... first of all, had sent me a Facebook message at one point asking my favorite number, my favorite color. So send him to that. Don't hear anything about it. Figure whatever. Who knows? Maybe it was a random survey. I don't know. But he shows up at my door one day with this paintball jersey, and he hands it to me. So he got this custom made, paid for it with his own money, brought it to my door, and gives it to me and says, "Thank you for everything you've done for me." I have no idea what I did for him. I don't know. But I have this gift, if anything, to remind me of part of my role in Youth for Christ is letting the kids that come there know that we are family, and God wants them to be part of their family. And like I said, I don't know what I did for this specific individual, but I know something made him feel like family. He, out of his own money, got this gift for me. So that's a lot of personal stories, but they can be very motivational. But we need to know. But what does God have to say about all this? It's not just my experiences or your experiences. Where does God have a part to play in this, other than giving us these experiences? So, I get to the question of, well, what about Jesus? How did he live family? There is so much, and you could go in so many different directions, and so I pulled out a few things. Start with his disciples. His disciples, he called out, he signaled out, he called them by name and gave them the invitation to follow. These were regular guys, but something in that he looked eye to eye, knew their name, and gave that invite to follow, that they dropped everything. Something in that they would stop what they knew and what they had as security and follow. Out of those disciples, one of them was going to betray Jesus later. That would be Judas, and he still got the invite to be a part of the family. like there's going to be a betrayal happening, but he still was given that invite and shown the same love to be, you have the invitation to be a part of the family. That kind of blows my mind because we know what's going to come. But he's included. Just, I don't know, I guess it gets me to think, so family, like what does that mean for me? How do I live that out then? And I know one thing for me in my work at Youth for Christ is one time being super frustrated happens sometimes when you're working specifically with a lot of youth and lots of noise and all sorts. But I'd been asked to do community service with some youth who had broken the law. And I've done this a few times for the same youth and thought we were getting on a good page, making some good headway. And I was fed up. I'm like, you know what? I worked hard enough for them. I thought I poured out to them. I thought that I had a vibe going. We were like this. They weren't gonna mess up anymore, and they do a break and enter. It's like, come on, how much do I have to do? And so I was asked to do community service, and I was not going to do community service. I'm like, no, they've had the last chance. And I remember God speaking to my heart. He did not say I had to do anything, but he said, if you give up on them, who's left? Who's behind you in line to help? Who's left? Because there's no chance for them to realize how much I want to be a part of their family. And my heart was broken. I do as much community service as they want, no problem. God's heart was, it didn't matter how good the good ones were doing or how bad the bad ones were doing. He wanted them to have the same message, to know and feel that he is giving the invite to be a part of their family. And he asked if I wanted to be a part of that. That's phenomenal. There's a few more stories. I was just, as I was putting this together, I was just thinking about, I'm like, the prodigal son, that's a good one. The father who would represent God, the son leaves. And we know that the father waits there looking expectantly for his son's return. We know this is found in Luke chapter 15, verses 11 to 32. And we know this because when the son finally comes to his senses, he thinks at the very least, after betrayal, after asking his dad for an inheritance, he insulted his father, he's left home, he's squandered it, he's done all sorts of who knows what. And now he's coming home saying, maybe I can at least be a servant. He knows he did not act like family towards his father. He didn't. He took his rights as family, and he left and did his own thing. So he squandered his rights. He has no rights to being family. But it says from afar off, the father saw his son, ran to him and greeted him. When the son's trying to ask, can I be a servant? He just stops him and calls the servants, bring the best robe, bring the jewelry. We're having a party tonight. My son, he's back. We must honor my son. He's back. And that whole waiting in expectation that you will hear the call, the invitation, and become family. There was no being written off. Some other stories, there's lots of them, but the woman at the well, she'd been had several husbands, was a Samaritan, which means she was garbage as far as the Israelites were concerned. She's a woman. That goes against her in that day and age. And she's at the well getting water in the middle of the day because she doesn't want to be seen. And there's Jesus, and he asks for water, and she's like, who is this asking me for water? And he brings up so that she would get an idea, a glimpse of who he is, about how he knows she's had several husbands, and the man she's living with isn't her husband right now. And yet, in that moment, she did not feel condemned. She did not feel judged because she stayed there with him. If she was feeling condemned and judged, she would have told him off, threw water in his face, whatever, walked away. She stayed there and dug deep and asked him some more questions. And he treated her like family. He was engaging in who she was, not in what she did, not in how she was currently living, but who she was and who God was calling her to be. The woman caught in adultery. Again, she's brought before Jesus. As far as the law goes, she's about to be stoned to death. And, he just nonchalantly says, well, whoever has not sinned, go ahead and cast the first stone. And then we wait for these stones to come flying, and none come. And in the end, it's her and Jesus. And he asks where the accusers are. They're gone. Well, I accuse you not either. Go and sin no more. He just gave her probably the biggest feeling of family she had ever felt in her whole life. She leaves that moment, I'm thinking, changed. Like, you're about to have a horrible death, and the one who actually has all the power to extend that death instead extends life. And it's how Jesus engages that we know she's counted as family. He gives that invite to be part of family. One of my favorite stories is Zacchaeus. I'm not that small, but I've always been a bit of a shorter guy. And so Zacchaeus, he's a short guy. That right away, I'm on his team. And, because dynamite comes in small packages, just to warn any of you who are big. Okay? And so here's a small guy. There's a lot of power in small guys. And he's a tax collector. And as far as the people are concerned, he is the worst of the worst, because he is on his own people, taxing them, and to the 9th degree. And I'll just read it for you. Luke 19, verses 1 to 10. Jesus entered Jericho, was passing through, and a man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead, climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was going to be coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he stopped and he looked up. He said, "Hey, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and they began to mutter, "He's gone to be the guest of a sinner?" But Zacchaeus stood up and said, "Lord, look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions, half to the poor. And if I have cheated anybody, I will pay back 4 times the amount." And Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save the lost." Now, a few things stand out to me in this passage. First, Jesus stops and he makes that eye connection. He stops. He purposely has to make that connection. And then he knows his name. Amy Sabrin. Zacchaeus. He calls him out. And then, "I am coming to your house." Not come here and, let's go, to the grocery store together. I'm coming to your house. Your place is going to be the place that's known Jesus was there. I'm coming to your house. We are going to have a party together. Zacchaeus instantly, he is flabbergasted. He is changed. He has made some promises that he's doing all this stuff, giving away money. And in the end, Jesus says, "Salvation has come to this house. This man too is the son of Abraham." Now, if anybody knows anything about Abraham, Abraham is mentioned over and over and over in the Bible all the way through. And if you were, an Israelite, a Jew, you would trace your lineage all the way back. You would go to Abraham. Abraham was kind of like the father, the patriarch. That was, if you could connect yourself to Abraham, you were in. That was the line that you had to connect yourself to for your bloodline to be anybody. That meant you're in. Without Abraham, you're not in. But if you can connect to Abraham, you're in. And here, Jesus, this is him letting everybody know that Zacchaeus is family. He says, because he's the son of Abraham. Like, that would have floored everyone. I'm using some language here like floored. That means like surprised. I'm using it thinking you all know. Some of you might not. But Jesus, in this place, people are like, who is this guy? He's being with Zacchaeus. Like, nobody likes Zacchaeus. And Jesus says, he's my family. I like him. So, you know what? There's story after story that you can tell people were family. I'm going to just go right to my next video. And there's another YFC video. I am doing a little bit of a YFC plug in this message as well. And so if we'll watch the next video, you'll like it.
Hi, I'm Justin Dimoff.
My name is Mandy Johnson.
I come from Machakos.
I'm Danka from Slovakia.
I'm from a town called Bielefeld.
And I'm from Fiji.
YFC has helped me discover my passions.
What makes Youth for Christ unique is their broken hearts and their passion to reach kids, reach them with the gospel.
It is so beautiful to share the love of Christ, how he can change the heart of some young lady, some young girl.
We all have one vision, leading kids to Christ.
We're going to schools and teach moral education and linking it to the lifestyle of Jesus.
No matter where you go or who you connect with in the organization, there is a bond there. It's a family.
The impact of having someone believe in me as a young leader, it freed me to be anything that I wanted to be.
My family is very important to me, and what I've found since joining the YFC family, that YFC sees my family as part of my ministry.
Youth for Christ works across the board, disregarding the religion, the church, denomination that you represent.
They're not looking for the perfect person. They're looking for people that have a heart and a passion for kids.
I want to be there where God is.
Welcome to the family.
Welcome. Willkommen.
Welcome.
Karibu kwa jamii.
Come join the family.
Come join the family. Come join the family. Come join the family. It's a great place to be.
Yeah, maybe you can see why I like that video. So that's some video of YFC International across the world. One reason why I probably like this video a lot is about half of those people I've met. And when you get together with other YFC people, Youth for Christ, you automatically are like, you're in the room with family. You just, automatic. I love that feeling. And so, even that video where they're, woo! And like they're just calling you out. I'm like, yeah, I want to be a part of that. And so I guess part of my my plug today would be, hey, wouldn't you like to be a part of the YFC family? You know, you could come hang out at the drop-in, and you could make one of the kids there be family. And so that'd be part of my message. But I also know that not all of us are going to end up at a youth drop-in center with lots of noise and lots of noise. Lots of noise. You know, not all of us are going to do that. As much as I would like to see us all, partner there, that won't happen for all of us. But here is the but. My thing for you then is, whether you're going to be there or not there, is to engage God. See, when you engage God, and someone would say, well, how do you engage God? Through praying, through reading the Bible, through stopping. Part of, this is where I struggle. Stopping and go, okay, God, I'm going to stop doing, and I'm going to wait to hear and see where you're leading. Engage with God and say, okay, God, I hear you. We need to be engaging as family. We need to be giving that invitation so that everyone is welcome. So, God, my question for you is, who do you have for me this week, this day, this year, this lifetime? Who do you have for me to journey with and make them family. Who and how? Who, whom, how many? You've seen maybe some of you have seen a young man, his name is Nathan, or I call him Nate. He always sits with my family here in the front row, and he helps at church set up. He helps with cleanup. He's one of my drop-in kids, and, he knows he's family. Last week, I was preaching at the Rosenard EMC church, and leaving, I had Nate with me, and Esther and the kids are here to hear all the things that Gavin had to say about me. So Esther calls me, "Where are you?" I'm like, "Well, we're just leaving Rosenard. We just finished here, coming back." "Okay, because your dad wants to take us out. Your mom and dad are out, and they want to take us out for lunch at Santa Lucia. And we were only expecting them at supper time, so that's why she's calling me to say hurry up." And so, okay. And so I bring Nate with me. My dad's buying lunch. Of course I'm going to bring Nate. And, got there and just said, "Hey, Dad, this is Nate. He's one of my guys, one of my boys from the drop-in, and he's with our family today." And so my dad had to pay for his buffet. So it was awesome. We all win. And so with engaging God, how do you and who do you look towards and say, okay, here's someone that God has put in my path. I'm going to make sure that they know their family, that the invitation to be family is there. And that's not a basis on their response. That's your response. So I guess that would be my challenge. So I'm going to pray. Don't know if there's going to be some music from the band. Yeah. But I'm going to pray. And that's just something we can think about as we're cleaning up today and mingling on, who does God have in front of me? So, God, I just want to thank you for this awesome season. We don't have snow yet. Had some nice warm weather, and that's been good. I want to thank you for today. Thank you for everyone that you have brought here this morning. It is by no accident. We are all here because you have guided our steps, whether we chose to come, whether this is our regular place to hang out, whether our spouse dragged us here, whether it's for the free coffee. Either way, Lord, you're the one in charge. You orchestrated it that whoever is here for a reason because you have something for them. Lord, I just pray that we would put our own stuff away, that our hearts would be open to hear from you. Maybe that's the hardest piece in this message, is to stop and to engage and say, God, I want to hear from you for real. So I just ask, Lord, that you help us do that. God, I want to just give you glory and honor because you've called us and you continue, even no matter how many times we mess up, you're standing there going, hey, you're still my family. You haven't done anything bad enough. You can't do something bad enough that I wouldn't keep giving you the invite to be part of my family. And so, God, I just want to thank you that invitation is over and over again displayed and sent out. There's nothing I can do to ruin that. And that is just awesome. Lord, I want to thank you just for the scripture you gave us this morning about the sheep. And just the image that you're going to come look for us. If we're lost, you're coming. We're not alone. I just want to thank you for that. You are awesome. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.